Chris Polek back of Polek and Polek, and we know Chris has been helping dealers save all kinds of money, millions and millions of dollars on toner, because at the end of the day, dealers have to look for all the profit they can find. But you know, I was thinking about a recent OEM, did a presentation, kind of went through that presentation on a separate show, but I was looking at some numbers and I was thinking to myself, well, hell, if dealers could just cut their service costs a little bit, that'd help them out tremendously, because we can't raise the prices at the end user level if we're just selling print. We all know that. So how do we lower the supply cost? And you know, I was reaching out to Chris. I said, well, Chris, I need some damn examples. So we put together some examples of some machines. I'm going to show you those examples, and we're going to see how much money a dealer could save. And ladies and gentlemen, it's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But Chris, I appreciate you coming on, because you know, our dealer friends, they have to make some choices.
Yeah, well, thank you for letting me join you today, Ray.
Well, they got to make choices. I mean, we all have to figure out, you know, we can't be in bed with every single OEM, and sooner or later, I believe a couple OEMs might not even exist anymore. But dealers have to prepare themselves, protect their own business. And, you know, I get it. You know, OEMs don't want to hear people talking about non-OEM toner, but at the end of the day, non-OEM toner can save dealers a boatload of money. So you put this little chart together. We kind of worked on this a little bit, and why don't you let's just start out by sharing that, and then once we're done, we'll finish our conversation, because let's just get to the chase and the numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, this is crazy stuff. And we're both masters of technology. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So look at this. Here's what we did. I took 4 models, and I mean, they could be any models, Rico, whatever, but these had to be Konica models, so we wanted to share real model numbers. We wanted to share real dollars of savings if you used Polek and Polek toner versus Konica Minolta toner. And quite honestly, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I picked Konica Minolta is I think if there's any OEM out there that's probably, well, going to be in trouble the most, the quickest, it'll probably be Konica. And you've seen some of the episodes I did when I talked about their financials. But folks, 4 machines. If a dealer had 100 of each of those 4 machines, that's only 400 machines. And those machines were running 2,000 pages a month. 24,000 pages a year. That would produce a total amount of pages of 9,600,000 pages. And the dealer would save just on that, just on one set of toner, going into 400 machines, 4 different models, 100 each. That's really believable, right? Dealers have this kind of a population. That's a $53,800 savings. And that's only if you only have one set of toner in the machine. Those of you that want to have a set on site, you could double the number. But $53,800 in savings on that volume equals 0.006. So we're out there, we're in competitive modes, we're giving away service. And folks, at the end of the day, sometimes we want these deals, but we got to cut our costs to get them. Sometimes we just got to cut our costs because the marketplace won't allow us to raise the price to the end user. And alternative supplies is a great way to do it. And I urge you to reach out to Chris, because this is real stuff. These are real machines. I mean, this is a Konica C368E. You know, over here we got the Konica C250i. These are real machines in the marketplace today, and dealers have lots of them out there. And some of the bigger dealers could easily have 100 of each of these 4 models. And that $53,000, maybe that's a salary for someone you want to bring on to help you, you know, diversify your deliverable. But folks, this is such a small example. If you really wanted to pick an OEM and say, you know what, in the future, this OEM is probably not going to be important to me. Whatever that OEM is, it could be one of my friends, who knows? But it doesn't matter, because it's your dealership and you got to make choices. But if you figured out a way to use non-OEM toner, you could definitely bring some money to the bottom line. Chris, come on back here.
Sure.
You know, Chris, you talk a lot to dealers, and one of the things that we all know, and I did an episode on this, that the multiple of EBITDA when you sell your business has pretty much fallen in the toilet in our industry. If you're print only, I mean, you're lucky 3 times, if you're lucky, right? And so we got to increase the EBITDA, you know, and if you're getting 3 times EBITDA, and you could bring 53, let's round it up to $54,000, and you're getting 3 times. Well, it's not about $54,000 now, is it? It's about $160,000. And that's what we got to think about. If you could replace OEM toner and you could bring $1 million to your dealership and you're getting ready to sell the dealership, that could be $3 million more in your pocket. And it sounds tough. You got friends that are OEMs. And Chris, don't you hear a lot of crap from these folks when they tell you that, well, you know, the OEMs are going to not give me my bonus or my rebate. It's so hard to, you know, they get mad at me.
Well, I hear those type of things all the time and it's really because the dealers have been so used to these programs, they feel that it's difficult for them to be able to get out of them. And the main thing I encourage all dealers to do is that you need to do the math and actually figure that out. And we've worked with a number of dealers where we went through and did this, and they were really amazed at how much money it actually brought to their bottom line. A lot of times these programs, they calculated up the rebates that they got each quarter, and there are a lot of examples where we worked with some dealers where the savings of working with a company like Polek and Polek, the savings were, in some cases, were anywhere from 3 to 4 times the rebate they were getting.
Yeah, well, and see, this is the reality. And you, like you said, you got to do the math. And I was kind of, you know, even when I did the math on those 4 models, it's like, holy crap, there's a lot of money here. I mean, folks, if you're a $20 million dealer, even if you're a small dealer, I mean, sometimes being a smaller dealer is more important to bring back more of your profit, right? You got to increase the profit line. And the only way you're going to do that, anytime you increase the profit in our industry, an industry is going through a disruption and decline, someone's getting mad. Someone's getting mad anytime you try to increase the profit. It could be a customer because you're raising their prices. Well, we all know we can't do that. It could be the OEM that thought they were going to be able to sell you all of their stuff forever, and now they're realizing that you need to save some money and put more profitability to the bottom line. Somebody's going to get mad. But at the end of the day, when you raise the profit in your business, you're not going to get mad. And neither are your bankers or the folks that you may have debt with. They're not going to get mad. This isn't 1990. This isn't the year 2000 when there was enough for everybody. Oh, yeah, no big deal. I could just buy OEM toner. Who cares? It's 2025 and we're going through major disruptions. Are you starting to see, Chris, over these ever since COVID ended, people rethinking this whole process?
This past year, I've heard more people thinking about it this year because, and this isn't just for any specific OEM. You were showing an example of Konica Minolta here, but I've heard the same story from dealers that carry all different types of manufacturers. And most of them in the past year, they haven't had any problems with the success of placing new equipment, getting that out there. Their biggest complaint that I've heard over the past year is the quota numbers that the manufacturers put on them for the supplies. And the biggest complaint they have is that we're still working on growing our machine base, and the reality for us is that our customers just print less.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
However, our supplies quotas just keep going up, and we don't need to buy as much toner that we used to. And there are some manufacturers where they have it tied in that if you're not hitting the quota for both your supplies and the machines, you get nothing. So for dealers that have been able to get their rebates or struggle to overbuy to do them, now they're actually rethinking about it because they know that they cannot continue operating like that.
Well, Chris, I'll tell you this. If you're a dealer with multi-lines, you look for the weakest. Look for the weakest OEMs. And folks, it is what it is. But you got Konica Minolta that's been a train wreck mess financially for how long? And you got Ricoh who struggles to put down any real operating profit. And dealers are going to have to decide where they go. But you need to decide that you can't support all these OEMs. It's over with. The OEMs themselves realize they have to consolidate, and the dealers are going to have to do the same thing. So pick the 2 or the 1 OEM that you're probably not going to do business with anymore in the future and just start taking away the toner business from them. It's that simple because it's about your business. It's not about the OEM. They'll get over it. Yeah, they might call you up and yell at you, but at the end of the day, they call you up and yell at you just for watching my show. So it doesn't really matter. Chris, I tell you, I want to do some more math with you. You know, let's do some, maybe we do a Ricoh example next, and we can start publishing some of this stuff. Maybe I'll put an article together and we kind of show these dealers exactly what the savings is. because, I'm aware of one deal that's pretty substantial, and they were looking at if they just took one of their OEMs and replaced all of the toner. Like if we just replaced all of the toner for this OEM, it was literally millions of dollars because they had enough of a base. And so I think all of the dealers, regardless of their size, have to seriously consider who they're going to make mad. Because you are going to make somebody mad, there's no doubt about it, because you're trying to increase your profit. Chris, is there anything you want to add before we end this?
Yeah, I'll say this one thing. I mean, there are plenty of strategies that you can work with, trying to still being able to give some business to an OEM and work with a company like Polek and Polek and get the right mix for your business overall. And the best thing for us to do is get together and talk about it and review your information, and we'll help discuss things with you and give you some options that you might be able to look at. Because the most important thing is that it's about maintaining the profitability of your business. And there's no commitment to us of just getting together, talking about it, letting us work with some of your data so that you can review your options.
At least know what they are.
For a lot of people that still would prefer to keep a strong relationship with an OEM, and by going through that process, it helped them to negotiate a better deal with the OEM that was more advantageous to the dealer, because they had the data to prove that they would be better off not going into that program, and then they were able to negotiate with the OEM the way the numbers that the dealer wanted it to be, not the OEM. And I think that's the most important thing in this type of market, that it's really more the dealer that should be dictating how the manufacturer should be working with them than the other way around.
Kind of like it was in the old days.
Because like you said, Ray, this is not 30 years ago. This is 2020.
I will tell you, Chris, still, even 30 years ago, there was a little more boldness. Our industry's gotten a little bit weak and passive over the years. But I would say that right now, the dealers have to think about one thing. Most of these dealerships are, well, let's just be honest, the proprietors are getting old, just like me, just like Chris. And there has to be some kind of an exit strategy. Maybe that exit strategy is to turn it over to the next generation. That's fantastic exit strategy. But we also have to be profitable, because there are some folks that maybe they want to milk the cow till there's no more milk, and that's their strategy. What better way to increase your profitability than to increase your buying of non-OEM, both supplies and parts? And I know the OEMs don't want to hear that, but at the end of the day, something's got to give, because you can't raise the prices at the end user if it's just about print. Can't happen. End users are only going to pay what they're going to pay, and the market's been bastardized. I hate to say it, mainly by a couple of OEMs. Chris, it's always great having you on, because everybody that watches me and watches you with me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.